Hello and welcome to She Boss Talk. I'm your host, Shanté R. Roddy. We're so glad to be here with you today. Come on in from wherever you are. We're so glad that you're tuning in to us. We are bringing you a series that is called Dominate the Decade, the significance of this decade for women in business. And so with this series, we bring on some powerhouse ladies to talk about the significance of this decade in a number of ways for women in business and how they're dominating the decade.
Yes.
I would definitely want to make sure that you get everything that you need to get out of this broadcast so you can be inspired, so you can be empowered and motivated to go out and dominate in every area of your life and business, because this is just our time for women in business to dominate your lane, dominate in spaces where we have been underrepresented. So I'm here to tell you that the time is now, and now is your time. So with that said, I want to introduce our special guest, Juaitan. Hi, how are you?
Hello, how are you, Shanté? How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so glad to have you here to talk with us about dominating the decade. I'm so excited to hear what you have to say, and I know our audience is as well. So can you introduce yourself to our audience? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate this. So I am Juaitan Robinson, and I am a spiritual life purpose and women's empowerment partner. And in simple terms, that means that I am a life coach with a focus on women, their purpose, and their empowerment. So I take them through the process of discovering what it is that God has planted in them to do. A lot of women are out here not really knowing what it is that they're supposed to be doing with their lives, what it is that God has pressed in them. So it's my job to guide them to that answer. But then it's also my job to coach them, to uplift them, to inspire them, and to empower them. And I don't really like the term empowering someone else, and not because it's a bad term, but I do believe that we all own our own empowerment. We give ourselves permission to do the things that we're supposed to be doing. So I don't really like to say that I empower other women. I just guide them through the process of getting there, getting into that feeling of confidence and the ability to do what it is that they're supposed to do. In addition to that, I'm also a writer, a proofreader, a published author, and I am an editor. So I do all of these things. I have my coaching program for the women, but I also have my coaching program for the writing. And in some instances, I have combined the two because I believe that writing helps us release some of the things that are inside of us that we need to get out of us. But in addition to that, I believe that we all have a story to tell, and what better way to tell it than by writing it down in a book.
I'm so glad that you said that. Okay, so let's get into why we are here. Okay. So my first question that I have for you is, what do you think the significance is for women, or in women telling their story?
Oh, I think it's absolutely important for us to share our stories. If you grew up when I grew up, in the time frame that I grew up, in a similar household, deeply in the church, and very religious versus relational with God, you grew up hearing what goes on in my house stays in my house. You grow up hearing that you don't tell the outsiders what's happening, what's going on, or how you feel. You don't express yourself. So a lot of times we hold on to all of these things, and we think that we're the only ones experiencing things, and we don't share. I believe that if we share what's going on with us, or what has gone on with us, we'll find out that we're not alone, and we're encouraging one another and giving one another the strength that we need to make it through whatever it is that we're going through, whatever trial or tribulation that we're going through. As a matter of fact, that's what my first book is about, Book of Testimonies, Faith at Work. It is a collective of stories, a collective of testimonies, where if I did not know these women, would have had no clue that they had experienced some of the same things that I experienced. And when I started getting reviews about that book, I began hearing more and more. I thought I was the only one. I thought no one else had gone through this. It's absolutely paramount. It's absolutely important that we share our stories. That is a way of encouraging one another. That is a way of uplifting one another, and to a degree empowering one another to speak, to tell our stories, and to be confident. I would rather tell my story than have somebody else tell it.
Yes.
You can't tell it like I can. You didn't go through it with me. I would rather tell it than have somebody else tell it.
Yes.
And in hopes that someone would be helped.
Yes. And I totally agree. I think it's so important that we own our stories, and
Absolutely.
that we share them. Understand that there's power in our stories. There's power in our voice, and like telling our story, powers in writing it down.
Absolutely.
And letting, others know that they're not in it by themselves.
Exactly.
There are other people that have gone through what you're going through or something similar.
Exactly.
And they were able to overcome.
Exactly.
Whatever that thing is, then you can definitely do it too.
Exactly.
Our stories, the things that we go through, I feel like it's not even for us, right?
No, it's not. It's not.
It's to help someone else.
Exactly. That is exactly right. I believe in, just to give you a little bit about me, I won't tell you about anyone else because I can't tell anybody's story the way that they can. But to give a little bit of insight about me, I grew up in a household where I had to deal with abuse, whether it was physical, verbal, emotional, sexual. I've been raped. And when I share this with other women and explain to them the processes that I had to go through to overcome, and most of it was done by faith, they hear that they're not alone, that someone else went through something very, very similar, that they can confide in someone, that they can trust someone to be there for them. I say that I focus on a survivor. That's the woman that survived depression, divorce, single parenthood, any kind of abuse, whether domestic or otherwise. I focus on that woman because I've been through it. And I believe that, I am the best example or the best teacher to assist someone, the best guide to assist someone through that process, because I've been through it. And I want you to know that I'm here with you. And you can trust me to confide in me, I'm here to comfort you.
Yes. And that's so important that we have someone that we can trust. So
exactly.
And
exactly.
That is such a powerful thing. Again, so ladies, if you have a story, right, we want you to get it out there. Don't hold back, hold your story inside. There's a testimony in it, a testimony that you were meant to share, to empower and inspire other people, right?
Exactly.
Or to help someone that may be losing faith or losing hope or on the verge of giving up, and you're that person that's going to share your story that could potentially change a life. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So I love that. So what would you say the significance is in women owning their power?
Oh, there's absolutely some significance in that. I believe that if you realize that you are a powerhouse all on your own, no one can take it from you. No one can tell you that you can't. I mean, they may verbalize that you can't, but you have already taken ownership. So you know that you are able to do whatever it is, again, that God has pressed in you to do. It's absolutely one of the most important things that we have to realize is that we have the power within us to do whatever it is that we're supposed to be doing, and no one can take it from us. No one can take, that's like no one can take our story from us. No one can take our faith from us. No one can take these things from us if we own it. If we own it.
Yes. Own it, ladies. Own your power. You have the power. The power is within us. And is your time to own it. So
absolutely.
It's just our time to just own our power and walk in our power. I mean, women are just powerful. And I know a lot of times I don't think we understand just how powerful we are.
No, I don't think we do either. I mean, I started my organization, My Daughter's Mentor, back in 2015, and I started because one, my mother passed away suddenly. I started in 2016, I'm sorry. And it was because my mother passed away suddenly. This was something that had been pressed in me years ago, and I just kept saying I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I'm not equipped. I'm not the right person. And then when my mom passed suddenly, I realized that there were so many things that she wanted to do that she never accomplished, that she never got done. And I said, I refuse for that to be my story. I refuse to be the one that sits back on the wayside saying, you know, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I wish that I had. I refuse to be that person any longer, making excuses for why I couldn't do the things that I really wanted to do. So when I started it, I was looking at the women that I grew up around, whether it was in the household, whether it was in the neighborhood, whether I went to school with them, and how we degrade ourselves, how we negative self-talk. You know, we say that we're not able, we say that we're not smart enough, that we're not pretty enough, that we're not, you know, we're not the right size, we're not the right shape, we're not the right weight. We don't have the hair, or we do have the hair and it's not the right kind of hair. It's not good hair, whatever that is. So we tear ourselves down to a point where it's really very difficult to believe that we are able to do those things that we are supposed to be doing. One of the things that I talk about with my clients is about the stories that we hear as we're growing up. The stories that our parents tell us, or our grandparents, aunts and uncles tell us, the stories that our teachers tell us about who we are or who we should be, versus the stories that we should be believing about ourselves. That I'm really a faith person. I'm so a faith person. I'm so all about God and what it is that he's done for, or what it is that he would like for us to do for his glory. And I am just hoping and praying and wishing that women understood that there's so much more to them than what everyone else has been telling us that we are.
Amen. And that's why we're here. We're here to help you ladies understand that and know that, how powerful you are, how powerful
Absolutely.
we all are.
Absolutely.
And the significance in this time for you, and not, you know, being a woman who is just like letting her gifts lie dormant, or giving up on her dreams, or letting the decade pass and you
right.
haven't fulfilled your dreams, because the time is now. This is the decade. Absolutely. And this is a significant decade. And so that brings me to my next question for you is, what do you think is the significance of this decade for women in business?
I think from what I have been seeing lately is that women are finally coming into the realization that they have this power, that we are wonderful creatures, and that we control so much more than we ever thought that we could. We control the economy. We control businesses. We control the hiring and firing of people. We control all of that. When we become entrepreneurs and have our small businesses and grow those small businesses, we are employing so many people. We have that control. We are the ones that are going out and doing most of the shopping for our households. We control the economy. And I think based on the things that I've been seeing lately, that women are finally coming into that realization and finally grasping the understanding that they have the power, that we have the power. We really do. So to go into this brand new decade with that understanding, I think will be significant for the next 10 years. I think we're only going to get stronger. We're only going to get more bold. We're only going to become more powerful. And I'm loving the sisterhood. I'm loving us being able to support one another. That's something also that I'm seeing growing more and more and more in this new decade. Like leading right up to this decade, I was just witnessing more and more sisters helping one another, more and more women, pulling one another up telling each other that we can do this, that you can, girl, you got this, we can do this thing. I'm loving that because I didn't see a whole lot of it growing up. I didn't. So I'm loving the fact that we're doing more and more of that now.
Yes, so am I. Okay, so that brings me to my next question is, what do you think the significance is in sisterhood and collaboration for women in business?
Oh gosh, it's a major significance. There's power in that, and I hate to keep repeating myself, but there's power in that. We don't have to do it alone. We really don't. I mean, we may have our own niche, we may have our own area that we really work in, that we're strong in, but we have areas that we're not strong in. And there's a sister out there that might have the information, might have the knowledge that we don't have. So it takes nothing for us to put out there in groups such as She Boss Talk and Black Women Promote, that if we put that out there, we've got somebody that's going to be willing to help us. We can do it together. As I said in something that I sent to you, I think late last year, there's enough water in the ocean for us all to get a sip.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with us supporting one another, encouraging one another, uplifting one another.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Like, sisterhood is so important. It's so important for women to have a support system. First of all,
Right.
to know that you're not in this alone. And to get, for me, I think in order for us to dominate the decade, it's going to take us working together. And like
Absolutely.
said, we all have strengths. We all have gifts. Right?
Absolutely.
And we're not gifted in everything. We're not strong in everything.
And everything, no.
But you know what? There's a sister who is strong in an area where you're weak, or maybe where there's a gap that needs to be filled in your business, or you're trying to start this new initiative and you need
Right.
a partner to be able to do it. The bottom line is that we really want to dominate and make a significant impact and to be able to grow our wealth, is going to take us coming together and working together as women. So imagine we just talked about how powerful we are as women and alone, right? As an individual woman. Just imagine if we put a whole bunch of us.
Right. If we all linked up together. Absolutely. If we all linked up together. Absolutely.
Up together, there is absolutely nothing we cannot do. There's absolutely nothing that we can't accomplish. We can change the world.
Absolutely.
When I talk about a shift was happening, that is true, because it's shifting for women to really dominate in areas where we've been underrepresented for so long. And to do that, we have to lock arms.
Right, right, exactly. I was reading some statistics, and I won't pull all of them up, but I was reading some statistics, and they were talking about how we are moving fast in industries that used to be male dominated, such as construction, such as, see, now I got to start looking for the numbers, but just in areas where, in the health field and education, and we've always been pretty big in education as teachers and things of that nature, but we're really starting to take it over more. And I'm loving that. If we link up together, we can eradicate, and I'm going to use that word, we can eradicate the negative narrative that so many people have about women and how we get along or don't get along. Yeah. How we push each other down instead of pulling each other up. If we would just all link up together and realize that this is something that we can do, my goodness, the things that we could actually get accomplished.
Yeah.
In this 10 years.
In this 10 years. And I think the shift too is no longer trying to, outrun each other or outperform each other to get a seat at the table, but it's actually creating our own tables and inviting each other to the table. Right?
Exactly.
So we're not creating the tables together. And I love that. And I think it's so important that we do more of that.
Right.
Because there's so much more for us to do. I know every time I talk to every woman in my circle, we're mission oriented. We're entrepreneurs, we're in business because we have a mission, right?
Exactly.
There's a problem we want to solve. It's not necessarily the money, right? that we can make a business, or we're great in the corporate world, right? But we've been it's not flexible for us. It's limiting in corporate, right? Well, first of all, our gifts and our power can't be limited, right?
No, you cannot put me in a box.
Exactly.
And expect me to stay there.
Value, right?
Not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, and women are realizing that, and that is why there's been a mad exodus. That's why women are leading in entrepreneurship.
Yes,
we're leading in entrepreneurship, but guess what? We need to be leading in revenue too. We need to be leading in profit. We need to be leading in being able to get access to capital and access to funding that we need. And to do that again is going to take us coming together and making that demand, because we showing up at the tables. It has to be us at the table making these executive decisions, saying, oh, I'm going to support women in business. I'm going to be a venture capitalist. I'm going to fund women in business. And more women are doing that, but we need more and more of us to be able to do that as well.
Exactly. We need more of us to understand the value, not only in our product, not only in ourselves, but the value in us coming together collectively and saying, we can make this thing happen. If we pull together and invest in each other and one another as a collective, just imagine the funds that we can get together from the outside world. Just imagine the people that will back and support us if we come together and support one another. Sitting at this table, getting all of this hashed out, making our plans, getting our visions laid out, our missions laid out, marketing for one another, graphic design. I know for me, one of the things that took me so long to get my business off the ground is because I felt like I had to do it all by myself. I felt like I had to be the graphic designer, the writer, the salesperson, and the coach on top of all of that. And I said, you know what? There's got to be someone out there. There's got to be someone that can help me, a group, an association. And when I came on Facebook initially, I really was lost. And then I started seeing groups like Black Women Promote. And I began to say, okay, this is what I need. I don't have to do it all. I can pull on one of these sisters and say, this is the help I need. What can you do for me? What can we do for one another to make this thing work? So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so my last question for you is, what significant impact would you like to make in this decade?
What significant impact? You know what? For me, it's really all about making certain that I do my part to give a voice to the women that feel like they don't have a voice. Giving them a trusted shoulder to lean on, a trusted ear to speak to, and an outlet where they won't be judged, where they won't be ridiculed, where they won't be belittled. That's the impact that I want to make on this world, to let the sisters know that I'm here for them. You can say what you have to say. I'm supporting you. I've got you. Let's make this thing work.
I love it. Sisters, we got you. That's it.
That's it. I got you.
We got you. We got you. So thank you so much. This has been
an awesome
time just having this conversation with you. I know definitely our audience is going to be inspired and empowered just by listening to our conversation that we've had and the gems that we have dropped for them today.
Yes.
Please do let our audience know where they can connect with you.
Okay, so on Facebook, you can look for me under My Daughter's Mentor. That's my organization that I initially started as a nonprofit and then realized that I wasn't ready to go into the nonprofit arena because that's a different arena than the for-profit. So you can find me on Facebook under My Daughter's Mentor. You can find me on Instagram under My Daughter's Mentor. Or you can just go to my website, JuaitanRobinson.com. And on my website, you can schedule discovery calls with me, coaching sessions with me. But I also have my blog there, a lot of inspirational words there, and just things to encourage you and uplift you, even if you decide that you don't want to utilize me as a coach. There's still information there for you and inspiration there for you. So you can go to JuaitanRobinson.com at any point in time.
Awesome. Well, it has been such a pleasure having you on. And audience, thank you for joining us for this broadcast. We hope that you have enjoyed it. We hope that you have been inspired and empowered with what we have had to share with you today. We would love to have you on as a guest. There's so many ways that we spotlight women in business as part of this show, as part of our platform. This is more than just a talk show and a podcast. This is a movement.
Yes.
And this is a movement to really spotlight women in business, to bring awareness to you, your business, your brand, and to amplify your voice and your impact, because this is the time you deserve to be heard. You need to be heard. The world
Yes.
needs to hear what you have to say and what you have to offer to the world. And we're using our platform to do that. So please do visit us online, or visit us on our website at www.sheboss.com. Again, www.shebosstalk.com. And you can also follow us on social media at the handle She Boss Talk. So we keep it simple. So do connect with us anytime. We love to have you as a guest. We love to just have you part of our network, like we've been communicating today in this series and throughout this show. You hear it from all the women that come on this platform as how important it is to have a support network, right?
Yes.
If you look at the campaigns that are out here, the political campaigns, and how they have these networks of people, they're able to run these campaigns with very little dollars, right? Coming from each individual people, giving 20 here, 10 there. So a lot of times we think we have a little bit and that's not going to amount up to much. But again, when you put my little bit with her little bit, with your little bit, it equals up to a lot. And you can
it does
make a lot of difference in the world. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back with you. Make sure you do tune in. Again, go over to our Facebook Live show page where you can view content. You can see all of the stories, past stories. So there's content available for you, whether you need to be inspired, empowered, you need business development tools and resources. They're all there for you to help you. So until we see you again, be committed and dedicated to dominating the decade. Make this the year that you do everything in your heart that you are meant to do, and you live your life without limits. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later. Bye.